Uh, it's saying that we're not allowed to go live. What's going on here? Oh, okay. It's just that one. Excellent. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome all the viewers that are watching. It is my esteemed pleasure to welcome you all to this panel for MechaCon, the Midwest Ethnic Convention for Comics and Art. My name is Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics, and I am joined by an esteemed panel of BlackCon creators, which is so very important. Ladies, if you don't mind, I'll have you introduce yourself and give a listing of your accolades, and we'll start with Kadiatou, if you don't mind.
Victor, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's so great to be on this panel with Aiesha and Deirdre, and you as well, Victor. My name is Kadiatou Tubman. I am the manager of education programs at the Schomburg Center. One of the beautiful things is that I'm actually on here with one of my amazing mentors, Deirdre Hollman, who introduced me to the world of comics and Black comic book creating and festivals. She was the one who inaugurated the one at the Schomburg Center. And I'm just happy to be there to carry it forward and carry her vision forward. So I am a producer for the Black Comic Book Festival at the Schomburg Center in Harlem, and I'm excited to be here.
Oh, we're excited to have you. And since you already kind of, threw the alley-oop up there, Ms. Deirdre, if you want to continue.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with all of you. As Kadiatou said, I'm one of the 4 co-founders of the Black Comics Festival at the Schomburg Center, along with Jerry Kraft, John Jennings, and Jonathan Gales. And after launching that festival, I could see the need to produce festivals in other kind of local areas and to integrate with schools and cultural institutions. So I founded the Black Comics Collective to do just that, to keep the comics community together with the comic creators and to move the festival around. And so I've done the Black Comics Expo at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. I did a KwanzaaCon at the American Museum of Natural History, and a host of other engagements. So I'm proud to rock with this community wherever it can go.
Yes, indeed. We are so proud to have you. And last but certainly not least, Miss Aiesha.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aiesha Little, and I am the co-founder of the Midwest Black Speculative Fiction Alliance. And we here in Cincinnati host the Queen City Black Comics Day. We've been doing that for a few years. We're changing it over to every other year. We were supposed to do it this year, but COVID happened.
Right.
So that's not in the plan for this year. But we're hoping to come back next summer and bring a really good event to the local folks here. We started Midwest BSFA in 2015. We did our first Queen City Black Comics Day in 2016. And it's just been a really great time kind of highlighting all of the creators who live in our area.
Excellent. We got our last panelist popped in. I was worried. I thought we weren't going to get him. Elgin, hello. Introduce yourself and let people know where you're from and what you've created. Oh, wait, we can't hear you. Make sure your audio and I think your color stuff is your video is on a separate piece right now. Like is the devil trying to hold us down from this celebration?
Right.
Better cut it. Not quite. Let's see. Nice. Your mic is good on our end. I'll tell you what, while you figure that out, I'll start the first question. And then when you're ready, we'll have you pop back in here. So before COVID, boo COVID, definitely. There were more than 900 comic conventions in the continental United States every year. For you to be inspired to create a platform of your own, what's one thing that you knew your perspective could bring to the table? And Aiesha, I want to start with you as a fellow Ohioan. We'll work our way outward from there.
So we were very interested in seeing more Black creators. So we have a number of conventions around the area specifically Cincinnati Comic Expo, go to that every year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always wondering, like, where are the Black creators at this event? Is what's keeping them from being here? Is money an issue of not being able to pay for a table? Do they think that they won't sell? Like, what's the issue? So I started kind of looking around to see if I could find some creators who would just be interested in coming to a free event. You get a table, you know, you bring what you want to sell and you just talk to people. And that's kind of how we got started.
That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Miss Deirdre?
Yes. So for me, the interest came from working with young people at the Schomburg, doing the work that Kadiatou is doing now. And I wanted to not only connect our kids who were, you know, really consuming a lot of manga, a lot of anime. I wanted to connect them with Black comic creators, but I also knew that the creators were looking for platforms because, you know, bookstores have closed, and in New York, the big Comic Cons, folks do go there, but the Black folks are underrepresented, to put it really simple. And so as a stopgap to being able to gather Black comic creators together in the community where kids would have access without any kind of financial barriers or being overwhelmed in like a New York Comic Con, we thought we could gather together folks to do that. And so literacy was my first driving force, literacy and representation.
We should be good now.
Okay, excellent. Yay. Elgin is back. Hello, sir. How are we?
What's up, Victor, man? It's good to see you, bro.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. If you don't mind, we'll take a pause on that question and allow folks to hear who you are and what you do.
Yo, what's up, everybody, man? My name is Elgin Bokari. I am the co-creator of a comic book convention in Chicago called PocketCon. PocketCon is a comic book convention that celebrates characters of color and the African-American diaspora, and also just celebrating diversity within the comic book world. We've been around since the year 2010, and as of 2021, we'll be celebrating 10 years as a comic book convention.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely fantastic. Just to get you up to speed, the question at hand was, considering the number of comic conventions that are out there, what unique perspective did you believe that you could bring to the table by hosting your own platform? And before we have you answer, Elgin, we'll have Kadiatou jump in there.
Yeah, I can't echo enough what Deirdre said, the importance of youth in our spaces, literacy and representation. I think the Schomburg Center itself adds a unique perspective. We're talking about storytellers, creatives who are creating stories that people who are marginalized and oppressed don't often get to see of themselves. And the Schomburg Center stands as a pillar of that in the community, not only in New York, but globally, as a center for Black people to see themselves and see their stories represented. So a lot of the creatives who we work with at the Schomburg Center via the Black Comic Book Festival do some of their research through the archives that we have. And I think that's crucial. So you're not only telling incredible new stories, but you're telling stories about the past that many people have not known about our ancestry. So I think just coupling that with the literacy, with the representation, with the importance of youth seeing themselves, that's why this space matters, and that's why we've continued it for now going on 9 years.
I love it. I love it. Elgin, your turn to jump in on that one.
Word, man. So I started off as a teacher and artist and instructor at the Gary Coleman Youth Center back in 2009 and 2010 and whatnot. And, you know, right as I graduated from school, I was very much interested in art. You know, I graduated from SAIC, and I was one of the few illustrators that I knew. So when it was time to start working and teaching young people at the time, you know, they didn't know too many other Black illustrators, and that kind of like affected me. And I ran into Turtel Only. He was doing a Black Age event at the African Arts Fest. I had actually met Eric Battle at one of my favorite comic book stores downtown, and he was signing illustration, and he was like, I was like, oh, more Black illustrators, what's up? Like, Black illustrators unite. I think it's like that, you know, that coming home party that a lot of people have like right off in the back when you see more people that look like you, just like, ah, my dude, what's up? And he was just like, yo, fam, like, you know, I'm going to this thing that my guy Turtel Only is putting on. You should come through. And I had my friend Jasmine, who's also an illustrator, come with me. And please check her out, Jasmine B Fly. She's raw. We went to go check out the event, and we met Turtel that day. We met Punks of Rage, and it was like a little reunion. I think Ashley Woods was even there that first day too. So we were just like, oh man, this is so dope. And it was just like they had like a little booth and panel at the African Arts Fest, and I was just like, yo man, we need to do this on a larger scale. And that's how PocketCon came about. So that whole first year, it was just gathering artists that I knew that were extremely talented, and also working with the Chicago Public Library. My co-creator, her name is Kendra McLee-Welk. She was also having the idea of wanting to do something like a convention. So it was like-minded mentalities that were happening at the same time. And we're just like, yo, let's put this on, let's do this. And then the first convention was at the Gary Coleman Youth Center. And the one thing that we wanted to do, and for us, it was on the South Side. So it was a completely unique situation in trying to do this on a larger scale. So and we incorporate not only just comic books, but also hip hop, entertainment, like all that kind of stuff too. So it makes like a more well-rounded style of an event and whatnot. So when it comes to the diversity and what we try to do is we do have inclusion, but the focus is always on making sure that youth of color see people who look like them doing the work, to also gain more encouragement for them to continue to make this type of work as well.
I love it. That's the perfect segue for our next question. What is the biggest misconception in theme purpose allowances that you'd like to correct, if any, about your platform? You know, what is the thing that people misread about the statement of we're going to do a Black Comic-Con that needs to be corrected in terms of, people's acceptance? Kadiatou, if you don't mind, since you're not so enthusiastically, I'm going to jump with you first.
Yeah, I mean, it came to me immediately. The idea that it's only for Black people. That's one thing I get a lot of when I tell friends, like, we have this amazing festival happening in New York. They're always like, oh, is it just for Black people? And I have to stress that you would not ask this question at a Comic-Con. You wouldn't ask if that was just for white people, right? You wouldn't ask that. And I always respond with, it's for everyone, right? What's for Black people, made by Black people. We want to encourage you to come, to learn, to experience, but it's just not. That's the one myth I always have to push back on when I hear it, and I know some folks can other folks can speak to that as well.
I definitely agree with you, Kadiatou, and I would add to the is it just for Black people, the fact that these local cons, the cons that we're all doing, really create a platform for emerging talent, and it celebrates the independent artists, the folks who are putting together their books, publishing them themselves, in that true, tradition of entrepreneurialism and the spirit of we can tell our own stories and create, a space where there isn't one. Make the way by walking and all of that.
Yes. Yes.
So I think that independent spirit, not everyone has the deal with the majors and some of the minor presses, but many of them do. But that space for emerging talent, for youth talent, we've had a great opportunities to have young people who are creating comics be a part of our cons. That's part of that diversity.
Yeah, I feel the same way. The first year that we did Queen City Black Comics Day, I got an email, of course, from an anonymous person who said, what if there was a Queen City White Comics Day? It's like, that's every other convention. That's every other festival. So the idea that you don't see that and you don't understand that this representation is important and you see it as an affront to your existence is just, it's always been weird to me. But I do tell people we are focused primarily on Black creators. That does not mean that you as a person attending have to be Black.
Right.
Like, we want everybody to know about these creators out here that are just making some great stuff. So yeah, we're not going to limit the attendees to just Black people.
we'll always take reparations now. Come on now. Next time somebody says a mess like that, just be like, name me as many white characters you can. Now name me as many black characters you can.
That's a good point.
Right.
And like we gotta always we always have to justify the Justice League, right? You know what I mean? We always gotta have like our Cyborg in there, our John Stewart in there. We always gotta make sure that there's a sprinkle. What you talking about, man? We got one black friend, right, girl? You know what I'm saying? They do the same shit with the Avengers now, man. They got the brand new Avenger game, and now they finally got Kamala Khan in there, and they're like, "Oh, dude, don't be mad about, you know what I'm saying? Just Thor and Kamala Khan, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, though." But so yeah, especially with this convention, it's most definitely. I think also I get a lot of flack too, even amongst like black comic book creators and stuff too. They're like, "Well, it's supposed to be a black con, man. Why you got these other people in here sometimes?" It's like, come on, man. We have to like look. It is about diversity, and we trust me, black folks. We are most definitely gonna be well represented. You know what I mean? But also, you know, it's a diversity. Even, I mean, we do even have sometimes like, you know, some white folks even tabling, but that also puts the pressure on those creators as well. If you come to my con and you don't have to pay to be a part of this convention, right? Then you better have as many black kids stuff all over your tables. That means like I need all diverse comic books. Where are the black characters at? You know what I mean? Like you have to be chosen in order to be in here. And I also do like let's be real, man. We would not have Black Panther if it wasn't for a white creator. Just being out.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? We need more folks being willing to tell these stories. Now, I most definitely need to see more creators and artists of color telling our own stories, and that's always going to sound better. That's why you ain't seen a good static comic book in a good little minute, because we need black writers and black creators continuing to tell these stories. That's what makes them great. That's what makes them work, you know. But yeah, we do have other folks, but trust me, the misconception is that, oh, if we do have a diverse panel of people like all over the convention, just understand that they did not get on that table without creating characters of color. So that's extremely important. You always.
Now, I want to add that when we think of diversity, Black people are not a monolith. We have to remember that even, Black people, even if it's a Black event, it's still going to be extremely diverse because there's so many types of identities that come under just Blackness itself. So when we are thinking about our festival in Harlem, it's like, how are we making sure that, queer folks are being represented? How are we making sure that women are being represented? How are we making sure that able people are being represented, elderly people are being represented in these spaces? So it's just like, you can't assume that just because it's Black, it's going to look one particular type of way. You're actually coming into a space with so much diversity. And I always want to stress that at our events. So I love that you brought up like the diversity of these events, because they are hella diverse.
Absolutely. It's so interesting too. Like, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I'm enjoying Lovecraft Country right now.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It gets all the snaps, you know what I mean? But I saw like this random meme that was on one of on a page that was mostly Black folks, but it would be like, "Ooh, did I lose y'all?" Oh no, I think I just.
No, we're here.
No, okay, cool. So it was one of the things we're talking about. When we talk about Black identity, how come we always gotta bring queerness in it, like da 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 da. And I was just like we don't have nobody queer in our community. Like that's not a thing. Like, come on,
right?
Like, why can we tell the totality of our being, of who we all are? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't act like that's you can't just like. That's why it's changed to all Black Lives Matter, because some people tend to think that only Black men matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Black women too. You know. Oh, trans people too. Oh, I guess. Oh, enabled people too. I get. Nah, it's like it's all of us. You have to take us all. You know what I mean? And I think that's also important when it comes to like these people who donate to these conventions as well. You know, they're like, oh well, we're doing this convention for just a certain sector of young Black youth. Nah,
that's right.
It's like our kids gonna be coming up in this convention, and they might be running around. Some people might need to go outside, have a little
time out.
You know what I'm saying? they gonna buy some comics in a minute. They gotta get right first. You know, you gotta accept all of us. That's it. You gotta accept everybody. You know,
everybody.
Yeah, I think that when you're programming and you're doing programs like this, you have to be intentional about who you're including. Otherwise, you're going to leave someone out. Mm-hmm. And as you said, you know, Blackness is a spectrum, and it's unfortunate that sometimes we are leaving people out. And I know when I'm doing programming, I'm always trying to be as intentional as I possibly can to make sure that everybody is included.
And also adding more voices. So I have an example from last year. I put together a panel with some dope Black women creators. And then the moderator came to me and said, Kadiatou, do you notice something here? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I thought I put something together that was dope. She was like, this panel is too light-skinned. And she was a light-skinned Black woman who I wholly respect. And she was just like, just word of advice. What I'm noticing on the stage is that there are no darker skinned women on this panel, like none. And so she literally had me go back to the drawing board and find other creators who are amazing too, who could also be in this space. But I wasn't even seeing it from that point of view until someone else came in from the community and was like, we love what you're doing. We want to add this voice to it. I had no idea that was a blind spot that I had in that space. So that's also a level of diversity I wasn't even considering until someone pointed it out.
Yeah, I would like to bring this up with you guys though, because one of the challenges, you know, that I find is in representation in terms of gender, because there are a lot of women producing comics, and we've always pushed forward women, put women on the stage, and even there's a lot of intersectional identities, queer women, multicultural women. So you have, all of that going on. But then I just think proportionately, a whole lot needs to be done to continue to support women coming into the field, because it kind of becomes this phenomenon where, of the, say 25 women producers that 6 of them are available that day, 3 of them agree to come, and then folks are like, where are the women? There aren't enough women. And so I'm not saying that. I just wonder how you encounter some of the limitations in terms of representation inside of the community, because it does exist. It does exist, and it's hard to you can't really pick and choose all the time. Like Kadiatou, if you only have
like 5 women to choose from.
Yeah. That's my issue. Because I'm focused so much on finding people who are within Greater Cincinnati, I get what I get. I mean, whoever's there is available, they're there and available. I occasionally will try to pull from nearby communities. Like, I'm only about an hour away from Columbus, maybe an hour 15 from Indianapolis. But I do primarily try to focus on folks who are based here in Cincinnati. So that is a bit of a limitation for me.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think PocketCon, we haven't really had too much of an issue at that. We most definitely try to serve Chicago artists first, but there's also like a crap ton of diversity here, and a lot of really, really hungry artists.
That's
so
great.
The issue that we usually have is like trying to tell people no. So that's kind of like, that's the hard part. It's like, people gonna be like, what about me, brother? It's like, no, we just ran out of room today. You know what I mean? Like, we only have like, I think we struggle because, you know what I mean? Like, so we've been blessed to be at the Chicago Cultural Center for the past like 4 years, and that's like a really big space here in Chicago. So we usually can afford to like have about 67 different tables or whatever. Thing is, we don't charge the artists. So like I was saying earlier and stuff like that, we really stress that like what you have on your table is important. So that means like if you haven't updated your comic book in a long time and you still giving like the same stuff, then you may not make the panel unless you were like an extremely important person, right? So like that's kind of like what we run into a lot is it's never, and then it's always trying to make sure that we're keeping new images, because kids don't have to pay either to go into the convention either. So when they show up, they gonna show up. You know what I mean? So, and they cannot buy your same book every year. So that's all. Make sure that like if you want to be, want to be on the table or anything like that, and that's for all conventions, continue to build your craft. You know what I mean? Try something new, like in that way. Yeah. And also we as comic book conventions need to be working together a little bit more too, because there's absolutely no reason why we all shouldn't be going to each other's cons right now.
Right.
I agree.
Because that's how we find more diverse artists. And like, if y'all ever in some point, like, yo, we need like this type of person, that type of person, hit me up, and I'll be like, oh, well, you can use, or you can use.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true. I just want to speak to the point you made about, keeping the talent fresh. I think one of the really cool things about producing a con that's lasted for several years is seeing talent develop, right? So you let in that fresh new person with their first book hot off the press, like it just shipped 3 days before the convention, and then by year 2 or 3 they have their second book out, and by year 4 they've got like 3 or 4 new titles plus merch, and really seeing their brand explode and their universe emerge is such an awesome feeling.
Absolutely. Is Victor coming back? Is Victor? Oh,
my apologies. Listen, the devil is working extra today. The devil is trying to stop us from shining, and we ain't gonna allow it. I rebuke you. We are here to celebrate. Try to kick me out the whole panel. Okay, I apologize, y'all. I apologize. Oh my goodness.
You leave 4 black people in the room. We're gonna keep the conversation going. We have 5 things to talk about.
That's why I love us. That's why I love us. Right there. Oh my goodness. Okay, so wherever we were, I'll just kick off with the next question. Reflection wise, how close is your most current iteration of your platform or event to the ideal of what you set out to accomplish, and what's left for you to achieve in order to get there? And Aiesha, I'll start with you, please.
I think as a group, Midwest BSFA, we really just wanted to get as many creators together as possible. Mm-hmm. And I think our first year we did a really good job for the promotion, for getting our creators. And in the preceding years, we kind of got a little away from having it be this kind of small, very well attended event. Mm-hmm. From that one event, we were like, and now we can do this grand thing. It's like, slow down. We need to slow down a little bit. There are going to be a couple of years where it's going to be smaller than we think it should be. But as long as everyone is there and they're having a good time,
right?
I'm good with that. If we get 100 people there throughout the half a day that we're going, and everybody was there and they purchased some good stuff and they had a good time, I'm good with that. But I'm also in a much smaller city than, say in New York City or Chicago. So my goals have to be a little bit different than y'all.
Nothing wrong with that. That allows for the uniqueness of your event. Elgin, we'll have you jump in on that one.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to share my screen because this makes this a little bit easier to talk about what I was going to
go for it.
Oh, dang it! Why is it not? Okay, y'all looking at my.
Yeah, I got you. How about that?
Okay, hold on a sec. Oh wait. I had this all planned out and ready to go.
Let me know if should I take this off? Save the surprise.
Hold on a second. Wait, hold on. Yeah, take it off.
We're all in your desktop right now. I ain't want to be all up in your desktop.
I know. This thing was up. I don't know why they decided to, because that was busy.
See, right? He working. He busy today.
Oh, okay. Hold on. All right, let me try this again.
Okay.
Hopefully, when I went to screen share, it was like, oh, you mean that video that you had on your desktop? You didn't want to play that, right? No. So let me see here. We should be okay.
There we go.
So one thing that I can honestly say that I'm extremely happy about is that with PocketCon itself, you know, this was my goal. You know what I mean? Seeing all these Black young folks feel free in a space, you know, like that was the goal. You know, it's always great when we get larger numbers every year or something like that. Like that's always awesome. These young people, some of them that come through are the same kids that I had back in 2010. This is 2019, right? And every year they come back with a new vigor. Also, I work in a organization called Free Write Arts and Literacy. We teach visual arts, creative writing, audio production in a juvenile detention center. And I became their program director in the last 60 years. So a lot of the organizations that I used to teach for back in the day, I no longer have time to be able to teach them, right? Because I'm a program director now. But all those kids that I used to teach back in the day, they still come to this convention. So like, you see what I'm saying? So for me, that was the goal. Like these shorties that break dancing and all that stuff, man, I knew them when they was like 7, 8 years old. You know what I mean? And now they're becoming like young adults. You know what I'm saying? Like dancing at PocketCon. You know, look at me in my
Love it. Beautiful.
So yeah, man, that was for me. That was the goal. You know what I mean? Making sure that these young people had representation, that they were able to go feel free in a space. And like this is at the Chicago like Cultural Center. You know what I'm saying? Like a space that is not, that's supposed to be geared for them, that is really doesn't always accept them in that space. You know what I mean? So it's like to see Black folks, young people of color, you know what I mean, able to come in and just simply enjoy themselves and see themselves on screen is what I wanted. You know what I mean? So and I get a chance to meet some of the dopest creators, some of the dopest artists. And, you know, like, it's not about money for me. You know what I mean? Like, I've said it many times, like, PocketCon usually means it comes out of my pocket to make this happen.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Listen, the name is on the nose right there. I love it.
You know, because they were paying for all of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
but,
right.
No, thank God for grants. Thank you for grants. Thank you. Shout out to 3 Arts. You know, but yeah, man, like this is kind of the whole point and the whole reason for why we do this. And yeah, I think last year we closed close to 3,000 people.
Well done.
You know, actually this year we're in partnership with the Museum of Contemporary Arts, which means that we'll be able to bring all these Black creators in a space like the Museum of Contemporary Arts.
Nice.
I think it's fresh.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
See all them Black kids in the Museum of Contemporary Art. I just want to see what they're gonna do. You know, see everybody's face like,
give them that culture. Give it to them.
Take it. You gotta take all my cheering.
That's right. I love it. I love it. Miss Deirdre, what about you?
I first want to shout out like museums, libraries, cultural institutions who are dope partners for this kind of work. But I think at the Schomburg Center in particular, and Kadiatou, please chime in, we've done the maximum that can be done at a festival. And what we've seen as the festival grew over the years was beyond having tables and panels. We added in the cosplay showcase. We added in drawing workshops, even, you know, workshops about how to create cosplay costumes. And so if I were to say areas of growth, it would be to continue to nurture those maker spaces, those how to draw comics, how to write comics, how to create cosplay, how to do animation. And so as we're inspiring young people in the community with the representation of these creators, they also are seeking out avenues to build their own skill sets. And so I would say I always want, as an educator, you know, first, I always want to see folks have opportunities to develop their skills with experts in the field. And so that's one thing I would say. But that issue of like space and numbers is such a challenge. I'll let Kadiatou take it over.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we last year alone we had up to 8,000 people come through the Schomburg Center in over a 2-day period, and it's consistent. I love that it's consistently growing. And in these conversations I've had with Deirdre, with other folks who are like, you guys need to take this, make it bigger. And I'm always thinking like the myth of capitalism or the idea of capitalism will tell you that you got to constantly just keep growing and growing, and what you have is not worth or enough. And I've come to a point of view where we have enough. This is exactly what we dreamed of. Why we don't have to keep growing it until it's this bigger than Comic-Con. It doesn't need to be that way. If it represents something more beautiful, more specific, and much more loving, it's a specific space that's so loving. And so, I mean, Deirdre spoke on it, like we're expanding in a way that we're partnering with other institutions so they can have a little bit of taste of what we're doing. For example, the Apollo partnered with us last year to do an event before our event. We also partner with Kickstarter to teach people how to fundraise for their comics, how to draw comics, but how do you raise money to support it? And how do you crowdsource? So we're just expanding in that way, giving youth more opportunities to learn, to become creators and speak to experts, like Deirdre said. But I don't think we're at a point where it's just like, we got to keep running after and chasing after something else. We've got it. We've got the sauce. So let's just keep sharing with everyone else.
I love it. I love it. So one of my last questions, conventions were created to kind of fill a gap. You know, in the early days of conventions, it was, you know, people couldn't get books, you know, consistently. So, you know, you needed a convention in order to do so. The industry has changed, evolved to a point where now conventions are a part of just a entertainment culture. Is there a goal for you all to see your platforms evolve to where it's not about the necessity of representation, but just the joy of inclusion? Is that one of your goals, and how do you expect to get there? Kadiatou, I'll start with you.
I'm like, that is always my goal as an educator working at the Schomburg Center. I always tell my students, I want you to have a safe space, a courageous space, but also a joyful space, because we don't get a lot of those in this world, especially as Black people. We need to cultivate those spaces. So I think one thing we hold true is to our integrity, our founding. The reason we have this festival to begin with is youth-centered. It's free to the public. We've never charged anyone for this event. It's just to make sure that people have a space to have fun. And we see it every single year, even with the cosplay show, with our vendors. People are always laughing. They come back saying how this is the most fun they've had all year. And I think that's what we want to provide. That's the space we want to do. And the goal to get there is to be consistent and to keep growing in partnership with other cons around the country. I just think that what we're doing is so special. And if we can grow it as a network, we can make other people, you know, join in this fun, in this joy.
Absolutely. Ms. Deirdre, do you want to add to that?
I would add that the convention is also a source of joy for the creators. For them, it's the homecoming. It's the chance to see folks that they don't see except for that one time a year in that city. You know, they're like different little networks, and to be a part of that camaraderie and to be able to support, that is extremely important. I can't imagine that would ever get old. Even if everybody had, you know, space on bookshelves and bookstores and, you know, digitally everybody was everywhere, I still think having a place for artists to come together, to just chop it up, to talk about the ins and outs of production and creation is always going to be great.
That's fantastic. Miss Aiesha.
Yeah, I think that our event, we've done a pretty decent job of having, among our creators, having different age ranges. So I've noticed that, you know, some of the older creators have taken some of the younger creators under their wing, and that has been so much fun for me to see, for them to have that kind of connection, but also to be able to show the kids, especially the kids that are coming through, like, if you're interested in art, you know, here are examples of people that are doing something that you may end up doing when you're a little bit older. Like, just having that representation within the industry as creators, but also the representation to be able to show students and younger kids, like, hey, this is a viable career for you if you put the time and effort into it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That level of encouragement is so paramount. Elgin.
Well, how am I gonna follow that?
Listen. Come on now.
Oh, first off, can we just shout out all the amazing female women on the panel right now?
Yes, indeed.
You know what I mean? I'm coming to every last one of y'all. Give me the invite. Let's get it.
That's right.
But yeah, man. I mean, I think it's all been said. You know what I mean? Like, the comic book convention is, especially when it comes to the uniqueness of the Black comic book convention, it is not a comic book convention. It's a family reunion. You know what I mean? Like, it's that one time a year where you literally show up and you're like, oh my, there's blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, we all work, but we don't feel like work. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of the reason why we all do this, is because we're trying to create the community and create the change that we want to see in the world, right? So this is that change. This is that space, and I think we all need to continue to give ourselves a little bit more grace. And in these times, we feel like we're not enough, or we're not doing enough. Like, we're all doing the work, and I think just be proud of where you are. Like, listening to Aiesha saying she only had 100. It's like, you weren't decent. You did it.
You did it, right? Absolutely.
You know, you're creating the space that's there, and whether it happens 20 more years or you did it that 1 year, like, that was enough. You know what I mean? And that's beautiful. So yeah, just we're continuing on with PocketCon, and where I see us continuing to go is like, yeah, that capitalistic society. You know, I'm gonna say this one thing. I am so jealous of a lot of the kids today. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Shout outs to, and rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because I feel like right now we live in a society where young Black kids have lost their Christopher Reeve, right? And when I started PocketCon, there was no such thing as a Black man at all. I remember the first time, like, I tried to ask kids if they knew any characters of color, and the first thing they told me was Batman.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And that was like back in 2010. You know, to be able to come back 10 years later and kids be able to say they have a Luke Cage TV show,
right?
Who Misty Knight is. You know what I'm saying? It's all these young folks. They've had Black Panther. They've had, you know, there's a Black Lightning TV show. Like, oh my God, what's Raising Dion?
Right,
you know
right.
It's all this representation right now in the comic book world, and I would have killed for that. I mean, I loved Static Shock. That was cool. You know what I mean? But like, seriously, like that is, I love my Hammer Man too. You know what I mean?
Hey, not Hammer Man with the dancing shoes.
Come on, man.
You already know. Patent leathers.
You know he was killing it, man. But
absolutely. I got to give a shout out to Queen Mother Crown has joined us.
Yes.
Hey now. Yes.
I just snuck in to tell y'all thank you so much.
A queen.
I literally just put up to tell y'all thank you because Victor's computer was messing up. When he inboxed me and I go on Facebook, I'm like, well, shit, they look like
they still doing their thing. They still doing it.
So thank y'all.
Yes, definitely. Thank you
I'm about
guys.
to go because I don't want y'all to feel like I'm interrupting y'all panel, which is what I just did. But
no, you giving us more light. More shine.
Congratulations on today, Crown.
For real.
Yes.
I hope everybody like y'all today, for real. Because I was like, okay, so anyway, Victor.
Right. And I don't need him. Love. Speaking of love, I want to make sure that you all have an opportunity to make sure that everyone watching follows you on your different forms of social media. So Elgin, we'll start with you and work our way back around to the top on my screen. So if you don't mind.
Yeah, so again, if you guys want to continue to follow PocketCon, you can just find us under PocketCon Shy. So you should be able to find us really, really easy on all social media. If you want to follow me, I'm a DJ and also do a lot of events, and I'm under DJ Bokari. That's why you hear all the DJ. You know what I mean? That's okay. Oh, you know.
I love you got it preset too. Like, let's go.
Let's get it. You know what I'm saying?
I was waiting for the air horn.
Right?
John Witherspoon, he gets my favorite.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, that's the way to find us on all social media under shout outs to Blurred Radio as well. It's a Sunday radio show for Black nerds. You know what I mean? We talk about all things from comics. We go on from 7:30 to 9:30 on twitch.tv/blurred.radio. You can also BLURDDOTRADIO, and you will be able to find us. So Blurred Radio, Pocket Con, and under DJ Lokari is where you'll be able to find me under all my social media.
Excellent. Miss Aiesha.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Midwest BSFA. So Midwest Black Speculative Fiction Alliance. We have the same thing on all the platforms. We are doing a virtual panel. I don't know, we're plugging stuff, but we're doing a virtual panel for Black Speculative Fiction Month. That is the month of October. We have partnered with the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County to do a Black Speculative Fiction authors panel. So it will be 4 authors talking with a moderator about their works. And that will be 2 p.m. on October 10th.
Hey, now.
Really excited to hear that. Miss Deirdre.
Yeah, you can find me at Black Comics Collective on all platforms. Well, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and also Deirdre Hollman on all platforms.
Excellent. Miss Kadiatou.
Yeah, and you can find the Black Comic Book Festival. Any information about that, the Schomburg Center, all platforms at Schomburg Center, and you can find me under Kadiatou Tubman on all platforms as well.
Excellent. I'm Victor Dandridge at Vantage In-House on all forms of social media, the hardest working man in comics, saying thank you to my panelists for keeping things going while I was gone. To everyone that was tuned in, watching, thank you for sharing your time, your energy, your light. This is for Black Comics, y'all. We're doing it big. One time for Mecca, we got to give some love to Maya because she brought us all together. Make that happen. And stay tuned because we got a lot of goodness coming throughout the rest of the day. So much love to all of you, and I can't wait to see you shine even brighter in the years to come. Peace to you all.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.